Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Standing Out Amongst Your Talent competition. Joining us today is myself, Courtney Ostermehl. I'm the VP of Industry Marketing here at Modo Labs. We have Andrew Yu, our Chief Technology Officer and founder of Modo Labs, and a special guest today, Justin Parlett, who is a Solutions Architect at William Blair. We will kick off this meeting momentarily, but for a few logistical items, I just wanted to let you know that throughout the event, you can post your questions in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see a caret drop down with questions as well as chat if you need to get in touch with us. We will hold questions for the end of the presentation, and for those that we do not get through, we will be sure to follow up after the meeting itself. If you have any other logistical questions, please also put them there. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us, and we look forward to the conversations moving ahead. So to kick us off, I wanted to walk you through the agenda of today's webinar. We're going to talk a little bit about the state of the current workplace, cost of employee turnover, what talent competition can offer and does offer, how to transform as well as stand out at your workplace. And then there will be a Q&A between Andrew and our special guest from William Blair, Justin. And then again, we will hold the questions for the end. So to talk a little bit about the state of the workplace, as many of us know, the workplace is in constant connection as we are in our personal lives. All of our systems, all of our applications are mobilely connected. And when you're en route to your office, you can probably do a lot from shopping on Instacart or Amazon and listening to your Spotify account. And then when you enter the workplace, the expectation is typically to be able to have access to your benefits or to your email or other types of business-oriented applications. And we're going to dive a little bit into why it's important to have a connected workplace in this sense where there is a seamless transition between your work life and your personal life in terms of mobile expectation. So I wanted to point out turnover trends in the past decade or so. As you can see, in 2008, there was an uptick in terms of voluntary turnover. And there was a bit of a dip, and it seems now that we are even higher on the spectrum in terms of people leaving the workplace. And there are multiple surveys out there that have shown 51% of employees are currently looking for a new position. And while that 12.8 number might seem low for last year of the 51% of employees that are looking, there's actually a very high cost and opportunity cost that goes into that turnover itself. And so you can see in this slide, looking at the different job levels as well as looking at the risk involved in terms of turnover, there is a multitude of items that go into this formula. There's loss of productivity, there's time spent on hiring, there's time spent on training, and then just having a vacant job in itself. And looking across this, you can also see the financial cost of this by job level and the percentage of employees that are at high risk for this as well. And so from this report, it was stated that a company, again, from the statistics on the previous slide, that percentage of a salaried employee at each different level, someone that makes $60,000 could cost the company up to $30,000 to $45,000 when that position is turned over. And again, as I mentioned before, there is a multitude of items that go into that, like the training and onboarding, the productivity of new hires being able to ramp up, less effective customer service if it happens to be in that department, and just lower engagement involved in general. When people are voluntarily leaving a company, I think this is probably an obvious statement, that it has an impact on the rest of the team and the morale of the company. And it's definitely something that we want to discuss in terms of what a talent competition can offer in creating a great workplace. In a survey that we'll get to in just a few slides, these were the areas that stood out the most on making a great place to work. Having policies in terms of flexible options, PTO, paternity or maternity leave, programs that give a sense of culture and diversity, wellness and health, as well as team building and camaraderie. Facilities and real estate also stood out, being able to work in different places, have better dining options, fitness centers, and then lastly, having employee-led groups, whether it's a book club or a running club or just a group that can connect after work hours, definitely stood out to these employees that were surveyed across the country. And now for transforming your workplace to stand out, we just wanted to point out a few items that really help the company transform instead of just trying to do it. There's certainly a lot of conversation when it comes to transforming the workplace, but execution is key on this. And Andrew and Justin will be able to discuss this as well in a couple of slides. But in terms of how many projects fail, it's a very high number. It's 7 out of 8 of these projects to digitally transform end up failing and don't get on the roadmap for a year plus. In terms of why it's important to build a workplace app, employees have indicated that their company doesn't effectively use their technology to help advance their careers. It's a huge number. Millennials. We're all talking about millennials, and we're preparing ourselves for the Gen Z group as well to enter the workforce in just a few years. Said that state of the art was extremely important when considering a job. And over 40% of them prefer electronic communication, which makes sense. The vast majority of us live on our phones. And then lastly, 52% of these employees that have been surveyed are checking their phone every hour. That's a very high usage of time spent on a mobile device. So what's great about William Blair joining us today is they have been named multiple years in a row in Chicago as a great place to work. And they will get to that in terms of why that is. But I certainly wanted to point that out as we go to the next slide and discuss further of what employees that were surveyed are telling us. So over 90% of these employees that worked at great places to work that were named, so they were able to get time off of work. 95% of them considered it to be a very safe place to work. And then lastly, 90% of those believe that their facilities truly contribute to a good working environment. As mentioned before, magnifying whatever real estate investments you can highlight or any amenities also adds on to why it's a great place of work. And so between that formula, this is what brings everything to the table between a safe place to work, highlighting amenities and facilities, as well as being digitally savvy and available on their mobile devices. And with that, I will turn it over to Andrew for his Q&A with our special guest.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much, Courtney, and welcome everyone to today's webinar. For those of you who are new to Modo Labs, we've been around for the last 7 years, a spin-off out of MIT, really focusing on delivering a connected workplace experiences in a digital sense. And we're lucky to have today one of our very dear customers, William Blair from Chicago, who is actually going to talk a little bit about how they are leveraging their app. And I will let Justin talk about William Blair, but for those of you who are not familiar, they are a global investment banking and asset management firm headquartered in Chicago. They also have other locations in other cities around the world. And as Courtney mentioned, more importantly, they've been voted the top places to work by both Chicago Tribune as well as many other publications. So Justin, are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again for joining today's webinar. So Justin Poiled is the solutions architect from William Blair, and what we are showing on this screen is the app icon for what they call @WB. And with his permission, we also have a few screenshots that are rotating on the right-hand side. So you guys can take a look at what this app is about. But with that said, I also wanted to ask Justin a few questions. And by the way, for the audience, if you would like to also ask a few questions later, please feel free to use the questions box in the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll try to get to your questions at the end of this webinar. So Justin, so I'm going to start off by asking you to tell us a little bit about William Blair.
Sure. Well, you kind of hit some of the highlights already. We're an investment bank and wealth management, asset management firm. We were founded in 1935. We're independent and employee owned. We have just right around 1,400 employees. We currently manage about 84 billion in client assets, and headquartered in Chicago, in this beautiful new building right on the Chicago River at 150 North Riverside.
Okay, great. So, so I heard a lot about the new headquarters building, and I wonder if you can kind of share with us a little bit about what type of building it is, what amenities you guys are providing, and again, in the context of providing a great workplace, what are some of the things that you guys are doing to make it a really awesome place?
Sure. So it's a 54-story Class A office building. It's got about 1.2 million square feet. It's a LEED CS Gold certified building, so very green. One of the neat things about it is it's one of the first buildings in Chicago to have the specific elevator system that we've installed. It's a learning elevator system that uses a series of complex algorithms to route people where they need to go. Each employee has a unique badge, and they use that to zip around. Pretty nice, especially compared to our last elevators. We've loaded the building with the latest in Cisco AV and telepresence technology. All of our meeting rooms are designed around the specific types of meetings that our employees hold, both external and internal. And really, what we like most about it is the space was kind of designed over the course of 5 years with extensive workplace studies. We even tested concepts out on a floor of the old building. We basically just kind of gutted it, and then over the course of a year, tried out a lot of different methods for working, a lot of new technologies, wireless presentation. A lot of our employees had never had laptops before, so we kind of wanted to equate them with the use of laptops, using more mobile technology. And that concept space gave us a lot of data. We combined that with the 5 years worth of study and research that we had done internally within our organization, and then used those two data sets to actually create the workspace that our employees are now working in. So it's very much tailored, not to the way we think people are going to work or following like the latest trends, like giving everyone beanbag chairs. It's actually catered to the way our specific business units conduct business and want to conduct business.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. So why did you create the @WB app for William Blair?
Well, the move to the new headquarters had a lot to do with it. Understand that William Blair is a fantastic financial company. Look us up. You'll see tons of information about how good we are at managing money and helping companies go public or go private again. But one thing that we're not so great at is technology. It's just not something that we've traditionally put a lot of emphasis on. So when we were moving into this new headquarters, we were trying to think of different ways that we could not only position ourselves to be better with technology in the future, which is a big reason why I was brought onto the firm, but we also wanted to find a way that we can communicate with employees. So I basically did a 2-month study of employee workflows across the entire company, engaged in every business unit. And the findings during the exercises indicated there was a lot of potential to alleviate these organization-wide pain points through technology and interaction improvements. And a mobile app is a great way to do that. These changes allow us to improve the way that employees interact, not only with each other, but just how they receive information. Not only that, but as you mentioned earlier, a lot of new hires are looking at the kind of technology that you're providing, and that's a deciding factor on whether or not they want to join your firm. So that's been a big motivator to us to get better with the technology that we offer. Through the course of the research, through the course of the research that we did, we found that the highest value solutions would be the ones that directly supported the transition to the new office space. And so thus the app was born.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that background story. So why did you pick Modo Labs?
Well, so originally the concept was to create a full custom solution and a full digital transformation. And as we saw earlier, I like that slide. I didn't realize you were going to play that. A lot of digital transformations fail because they might try to do everything all at once. So what we really wanted to do is start by offering a small platform that can stealthily be deployed as part of our move, and then over time transition that into a more robust platform featuring more information and more ways for employees to interact with each other and with the company. And so in order to do that, I needed a platform that I would be able to assign multiple stakeholders the ability to edit and update and create. As you can imagine, when you're moving to headquarters, even if we're just moving across town across downtown the way we did, there's a lot of information that needs to be given to employees. It can almost feel like drinking from the fire hose. And we found that a lot of employees were wanting to read that information, on their train ride home at night. Well, what do they have with them? They're not going to pull out their laptop and work. They're just looking at their phone. So this was a great way to do that. Modo gave us the capability to create a platform where we don't have to send updates via the App Store. Basically, if you can update a web page, you can update the Modo app. That was super appealing to my marketing group, who's responsible for all of this information that's being sent to employees. And it was super appealing to me because I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for sharing that. We love hearing the stories about how our customers are actually using this platform, and to your point, that we make a concerted effort to allow a non-technical person or staff to be able to update these apps. So I'm really glad to hear that you guys are leveraging that capability. Now let's move on to the app itself in terms of, if you could talk a little bit about some of the key features that you included in this app for the initial launch, and then maybe talk a little bit about what are some of the most used features today. That would be great.
Yeah, so AppWB is kind of a one-stop shop for everything you need to know about our new headquarters. It's primarily a kind of a news aggregator, if you will. And that was a big part of the campus relocation. It provides information about pre-move, like everything you need to do before you move, everything that's going to happen while you're moving, and then everything you need to do after you've moved. So for me, like on the back end of it, that's kind of the end user experience. But for me, a key feature is able to push out updates to the content instantly. So I can do that without having to resubmit anything, or even my marketing team can do that. It's a cloud platform, so it's very stable. And then I think what people are probably using the most, just as an end user, is aside from just getting information about the move, we built out an employee directory feature, as well as a room and desk locator, so you can actually find where employees are sitting. And you see people walking around looking at their phones all the time. And if it were Grant Park, you'd think they were playing Pokemon Go, but they're actually in our building, and they're just figuring out, oh, okay, that's where so-and-so sits, and they can use it to navigate. It's not a wayfinding turn-by-turn direction, because we're an office building. We don't need wayfinding turn-by-turn, because you can essentially look across. What's nice about the building is if you're on one side, you can look across and you have almost an uninhibited view to the other side of the building. So it's not a maze, but this app does give you enough information to find exactly who you're looking for and where they are. And people are just loving that.
That's awesome. And for those of you in the audience, especially those who are joining late, what we are projecting on the screen itself is some of these screenshots. And as Justin was describing, this feature of the directory with the indoor maps, so that we have to black out obviously the confidential or company specific information, but the concept here is that we can allow people to search for employees and not only getting their phone numbers and email address and so on, but more importantly, with one tap from there, be able to go straight to the indoor maps. So if somebody is sitting on the 5th floor at a particular desk, and actually the screenshot that's just coming up right now is going to show you that. And we, again, zoomed in way too high, way too low for this particular webinar. But of course, you can zoom out and see where the elevators are, as well as amenities and other things like that. So I'm really glad, Justin, that you guys are using this as well. Now, are people also using this for finding conference rooms as well?
Yeah, so basically, if it's a room, you can find it, and that has already come in handy. We don't name our, a lot of places get cute with conference room names. You know, I've been to offices that name all of their conference rooms after various locations from Lord of the Rings, or like different neighborhoods here in Chicago. We didn't get cute like that. Our conference rooms have easy to remember names like 331101B. So that can kind of be hard to find. So if you just type that 331101B into the app, it'll show you exactly where it is. Makes it a little bit easier to find the rooms.
Okay, so so with those features, I'm again very happy to hear that a lot of people are using it. So how did you actually market the app, and how are you currently distributing this app to your employees?
So the app was mentioned in every single communication talking about our move, with links to both Apple's App Store and the Google Play Store. We have it available on both of those platforms. We also did a couple of little quick videos. So I did some screencasting to showcase different features of the app and different functions of the app. There's signage on virtually every floor in most of the public spaces. So that's the initial push for the application. We've recently changed our enterprise mobility management tool. We moved away from one product and we're utilizing another now. That's happening at the same time as the move, and every employee who registers their mobile device with our new EMM tool gets the @WB app installed automatically as part of that enrollment. So at first we offered them to download it, and now we're force feeding it. But fortunately, people seem to like it, so they don't mind.
Cool.
And if they hate it, they can always delete it, right?
Yeah, hopefully they won't be deleting it, because hopefully you guys will be using it for.
They haven't yet.
That's awesome. So can you talk a little bit about the adoption? I know that you've just recently launched this with your coinciding with your headquarters move, but how has the adoption been, and what are you doing to sort of continue to get the users engaged?
It's been pretty solid so far. I was looking at our analytics piece. What's really nice is if there are people on the call who develop applications and you measure, one of your metrics is how many employees have installed it. It's hard to get an accurate count of that from Apple, because people basically have to give permission to Apple and app developers to know whether or not the app's been installed on their device. You can get a download, but it's hard to get an exact number. So what's nice is Moto has this analytics tool that allows you to see daily active users and how many screens they're hitting, which screens they're hitting in particular. And through that, we're able to tell that we've got about 370 users every day using the tool. That's about what we're averaging right now. On the first day after a move, that number spikes really high. And then through the week, the numbers get a little lower. But our internal target was hoping for 150 active users a day. So to be averaging 370 is pretty good, we think. I think one of the challenges that a lot of companies have is an attitudinal one, which is we're not getting our money's worth if every single employee isn't using the app. And that's just not a reasonable expectation. It's not that our expectations are low, we think they're realistic. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And then for adoption, and then for continuing to promote the application. Basically, as part of the move, that's phase 1 of the application. Phase 2 of ActiveUB is going to start incorporating it into other business initiatives. We're going to tie it into a lot of our volunteer work. One of the things that William Blair prides itself on is being very active in the community. So we're going to be rolling out some features that better enable employees to take advantage of volunteer opportunities. And then we're also going to be using it as kind of a recruitment tool. So those meetings are starting now, but a lot of the departments in the firm have ideas for what they want to put inside the app. So now it's just a matter of prioritizing.
Okay, well, that sounds great. So that actually leads me to my next question. In terms of who's actually updating the app, and I know you spoke about that a little bit earlier, but can you kind of give us sort of a general range as to what type of folks are actually updating the app from different departments, and what are some of the characteristics of those folks?
Sure. So in the initial deployment, content was updated by myself and our account guy from Modo. And then as we drew closer to the actual move date, and once the application was published through the App Store, we transitioned that over to our brand marketing and communications team. They're the same team that updates all of our intranet sites and sends out all communication firm-wide via paper or digital. So these are folks who are pretty adept at updating, at the very least, websites. They're very good at templates, very good at digital images. And so they're primarily responsible for actually updating the content of the application. Feature sets, so things like our floor plans, things like updating the Active Directory to make sure that it speaks to the floor plan piece, that currently falls under me. We're going to be transitioning that to our facilities team in mid-September.
Okay, great. So one last question, and I actually, just to be clear, we are getting some other additional questions from the audience. We will get to those questions at the end, right after the demo. But what are some other things that you're planning to do in the future of this with this app?
Well, like I mentioned, I mean, I kind of feel like we're barely scratching the surface of what we can do with it. I'd personally like to see more interactive features and less one-way communication. We use it a lot for broadcast right now. In the future, I envision end users being able to open support requests for AV or IT or facilities through the application. But we're confident that we can build out from the status quo as the firm's culture warms up to more digital and less paper-centric forms of communication and interaction. So really, at this point, it's kind of more of an attitudinal barrier than a technological one. As I mentioned earlier, we're talking with our HR group and our volunteer committee about bringing opportunities for employees to find out about volunteer or other work through the application. So there's a lot that we can do with it.
That's awesome. And again, we can work with you to also share some other use cases as well. And we're really excited, of course, to have you both as a customer and also as a partner. So again, thank you for joining the webinar. So please stay on the phone because we'll get to some of the audience questions in a little bit. But before we do that, I wanted to do a little quick demonstration. And with that, Chai Ling, who's actually joining us from California, is actually going to show, to Justin's point earlier about, basically being able to promote various different activities that are happening around the company, as well as being able to send out notifications and so on. So Chai is going to do a quick demonstration just so that everybody knows how easy it is to do this. And after that, we'll get to the Q&A. So please keep the questions coming. And in the meanwhile, Chai, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Just give me a quick yes or no if you see it.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I would like to invite the audience to participate if you like. So whether you're on your iOS device or Android device, if you go to the respective app stores, look for Modo Labs Enterprise, and that will show you this particular app that I'm showing you here. Go ahead and install it. Once you install it, it will bring you to this current homepage that we've designed for Model Labs for Enterprise. And most of my demo will happen in this See It in Action link that you see down there. So I'm going to go ahead and take us down that route. See It in Action. And as you'll see here, it takes me to one of many locations that we have. We happen to be in Philadelphia, and because we just did this use case with William Blair, they're based in Chicago, so I thought, why don't we move our demo over to Chicago? And why don't we also change how it looks a little bit? And so here, you can see the differences in the UI that you can have for the user as they move between different locations. You can also do that based on different personas, so we give you a lot of flexibility as far as how that works. You'll have the opportunity to explore this particular app. I won't go into all the various areas here, but this is leveraging our Mondrian screen type. This is one of our most recent one, and it has a combination of both some static tiles that you see, as well as some live tiles that you've probably seen fly through your side of the screen. And so this gives you the opportunity to really promote either events or social media as part of your overall interface to the user. Now, to address the conversation we just had earlier, where they're looking to start to promote some other activities, perhaps something like a employee volunteer program, and a lot of organizations provide their employees the ability to take some time off to volunteer. And so how can we help promote that? And right now, as you can see, we've done nothing to help promote that. We've gotten us a link to get us to this blank page. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to build this out and show you how easy it is to use the Modo tool to assemble and curate this experience, and then drive users to this particular information all on their mobile device. So let me pull up my admin console, and we'll quickly sign back in. And so this is the administration console that allows me to manage the overall mobile application, including the page that we're going to work on now. I logged in as the overall app administrator, probably somebody like Justin, where they have full control over everything in the app. Now, you can certainly delegate out responsibility, so you don't have to do everything yourself. You can decide that maybe there's somebody in the group that's working on all the volunteer programs for your organization, and you can delegate out. And I'll just quickly show you what that might look like when you do delegate out and what they would see. And so you can see here, same mobile application, but once you delegate out, they have a very specific view of the application, and they can just focus on what they need to work on. And I'll probably be prompted to authenticate here. Let's go ahead and do that. But once they've logged in, you can see they're just now focused on their specific area, and they can continue to do what they need to do there. So let's jump into that. And I'm going to focus specifically on the community engagement area that we have here. And it is under this benefits module that you just saw. And then we're going to pull a couple of things together so that we can let our employees know that we have this event going on. So you have a preview. To the left of the preview, you have these two panes where you will now get to control how you want the experience to be set for your user. I happen to be using one of our most flexible screen type. This is called Collage. And you'll see here as I start to build this, all the various content blocks that you'll be able to add as part of a standard collage page. So here are all the different collage content blocks that you'll have access to. We'll cover a couple of these to give you an example, but you'll see all these different variations of different content blocks that you'll be able to mix and match to draw your curated experience. And I'll just start with something very simple here. And because we're going to highlight this particular event for Bernie's Books Book Bank in Chicago, I'm going to have a William Blair video, or I should say photo of some folks who were at a previous one to help promote it. And very simple, right? You upload the image. If you've done any uploading of images on any app, you'll be very familiar with this. But just to give you a sense of how easy it is. What else can we do? Well, you may have information already out there in a couple of different areas. And so I want to be able to leverage all of that and build that as part of the overall experience. So let's see if we can perhaps draw from something that they have on their website. So here, William Blair talks about community engagement. They talk about how you get a day off to volunteer. So these are things that people might not know about. And so if we pull this all in as part of this overall experience, we can help promote not only this event, but just the overall community involvement that William Blair has. And the way we do this is we just need the URL of that particular page. And so here, I already copied the URL. And we get to decide how we want to grab the information from that page. So in my scenario here, I just want to grab the title and body. So I'm going to grab this particular option. There's a number of other different options that you'll have. And then we're going to go ahead and save this off. And I'll just give you another quick preview of what it does when we do that. So we will go ahead and extract that. It's going to inherit the theme of our mobile app. I happen to be using the Moto's, branding and theming, and so it inherits the Moto branding and theming, which is very different, as you've seen from what William Blair's done there. But nevertheless, whatever your branding and theming will be, when you inherit this, it will allow you to go ahead and apply that. And you'll see, because I'm on a mobile app here, a mobile device, it's a lot of text, so I'm just going to apply this collapsible UI element so that I can go ahead and build out some additional details, because maybe some other things we can do is, Bernie's Books has put out a great video to help promote, what they do. And I want to make that part of our page. So let's go ahead and grab this video ID that you see here. So every YouTube video has a video ID. And we're going to use the video content block in this case. And we're going to drop that in there. And we'll put that in here. And this now allows us to start drawing from different resources. It doesn't all have to come from your organization. It can come from different areas. And then finally, before I give you another preview, let's do one last thing. We know that this event is going to happen at Bernie's Distribution Center, for instance. And so if we want to make it really easy for our users, let's go ahead and just type in the address, and here Google already knows where it is, and so let's say this is where it's at, Bernie's Book Bank. We've confirmed that. We'll just zoom in a little bit, and I get to add my own little call out here. We'll say, WV volunteer program, just as an example. It could be whatever you want it to be. And now I've created my own custom map pin that is fully interactive. I'm done here. Let's say I'm ready to let our users know, hey, look, come and join us for this particular event. This is where it's going to be. You can find your way over. I can now publish this particular page without having to resubmit to the App Store. And I can do this without having to call Moto Labs. I don't have to engage a developer. I can simply go through this process and publish. And so once this is published, it will now be fully available in the app itself. But how do users, on the app? So Justin mentioned, they have, anywhere from 300 plus active users of the app. How are they going to know that that this has been updated? This will then lead us to our Moto Communicate platform, which is your ability to now deliver push notifications to your users and letting them know of any number of different messages. So we're going to leverage Moto Communicate for this particular event that we're running. You'll see here a dashboard of messages that you've already sent out. So these are some messages that I was testing, and then anything that you may have also queued up. So you have the ability to schedule messages so that you know that you have a number of things coming up. You don't have to sit there and type them up as they're happening. You can certainly queue them up. So let's go ahead and create a message. You'll see here that you do have the ability to create both public channels as well as personal channels. Personal channels allow you to get very granular based on the numbers of attributes that you would decide on, and so you can target users, for instance, people who are contract employees at a who haven't signed up for their benefits yet, for instance. So those are different types of attributes that you can go ahead and target and set up. Public channels allow you to still target at a higher level, so you can target employees based on, or users based on locations and personas, which is what we'll do. And in this case here, I'm going to send out a general message, and I'll just take us through this process of creating a message. You'll see, just like the publisher side of things, how easy it is. And so what I'm going to say here is, join us for, the Bernie's Book Bank event. And let's say it's happening this Friday because people get a day off. So as part of the program, so if they want to join us, they can do that. And that can be my entire message. But I want to let people know that I created this page with all this other information, so I can then take the user to that particular page. So you'll see here the ability for me to link the user or deep link the user to any number of pages within the app. So this gives you a great way to really continue that experience after receiving the message. And so here I've done that. I'm going to link them to that. And then, in my demo scenario, I have multiple locations and personas. And so I'm just going to target our employees. We may have visitors who also download the app. They don't need to know because this is not meant for them. And then this ability to send both push notifications as well as in-app banner messages. Just for fun, I'll do both, but we'll mainly focus on push notifications. And then we'll go ahead and specify the timing for this. So let's go ahead and send this off. It'll let us know who's going to download, who's going to receive this. And so we'll know the number of users who are receiving this on their devices, and then fire this off. Now, whoever's downloaded the app will now be able to see this particular push notification. So here you see it on my device. I now have the message. I happen to be in the app. You don't have to be in the app to receive the notification. It would just show up wherever you configured your device to show your notifications. But once you see them, you can go ahead and touch on view or dismiss it, whatever you decide on, and then you can see the particular message. And then if we go ahead and touch on more info, it would now show us where it was previously blank, the entire curated page that we now have created. And the map is fully interactive as well, so if somebody really wants to get there and they're going, yes, I do want to go to the Bernie's Book Bank, how am I going to get there? I'm in San Francisco, and so it'll take me a little bit of time, but if you're local and nearby, of course, that blue dot will make your life a lot easier. And so that's how you can easily and quickly engage your users by setting something like this up within our platform. And as you continue to use your app, your users are using your app, one of the things that you're going to want to do is, are people seeing the messages we're delivering? Are people using the app the way we thought people would want to use it? And so here, what I'm highlighting is our Modo Analyze, which is a tool to help you provide the analytics for our platform. And this works in conjunction with Google IDs or Google Analytics. So if you're familiar with that, you'll be able to use both Google Analytics and our platform. You'll see the different modules that people have been spending a lot of time in and what they're looking at, the different screens. And to just tie back to the notifications, we may want to know, are people viewing the notifications we sent? So we can drill down into the message center, which is where people would go in the app to actually see the messages. And within the message center, we can then tell where people are looking at the public messages we've delivered, or where people are looking at the personal messages. So you have complete flexibility to do that. You can filter based on the different time frames that we have set up here to see if your programs that you've put out there are being reached by your users, and what you can do to go ahead and further improve that. So with that, I'll end my presentation here, or demo here, and pass it back to you, Andrew.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Chai. We will get to the Q&A from the audience. So again, for those of you who are on the webinar, you can use the questions icon there to actually ask those questions. And then we will again try to get to them as much as we can. So the first question is, do employees, and I think this is probably referring to William Blair, so Justin, get ready for this. Do employees bring their own devices to work?
Yeah, so we are a bring your own device environment pretty much exclusively. I think there's maybe a dozen or so phones that we've bought, but everything else is BYO.
Great. So employees are basically downloading their your app on their both personal as well as company issued devices. Is that correct?
Well, like I say, we only have about a handful of company issued devices.
Yep.
So all the downloads are personal. The company owned devices that we have are in London. So if they've downloaded the app, cool. Probably not helping them out much right now. But yeah, in Chicago for sure, it's all BYO.
Yeah. So related question to that is, then how do you secure this app?
Well, we have the app's publicly available through the App Store. We have federated with Active Directory, so users have to be able to log in order to access information, which keeps someone from just downloading the app and figuring out where everybody sits.
Right.
And we're, and Moto uses pretty standard security methods to keep those integrations nice and safe. And I know that because we sat in a lot of meetings with our security team going through the architecture. So.
Yeah, and thank you for providing that. And again, outside of William Blair, we also work with other large enterprise customers that are using everything from SAML-based or OAuth or OpenID Connect with various different either in-house or third-party single sign-on solutions. So we definitely have the ability to, of course, secure these apps, even if they are actually in the public app store. So Justin, I'm really glad that your security team was okay with this, and we look forward to, again, continuing this. So the next question is, do you have a work order capabilities on your app so that people can report FM? I'm assuming this is facilities management issues.
Yeah, so we don't yet. It's something that everyone involved would like to be able to do. The only reason why we're not doing that is because all of our ticketing systems are currently behind our firewall. And up until very recently, we didn't have a way to have traffic from the Moto application go through our firewall. We're currently experimenting with using our EMM solutions per app VPN tunneling in the hopes that it would give us the ability to open up ticketing requests for facilities, for IT, for everything.
Yep. And again, we'd be happy to work with you to add those features into your app. And again, outside of WB, we also have other, of course, large enterprise customers who have a variety of different facilities management software on the back end. We have many different ways that we can connect to those systems. And so in many cases, our customers' employees are able to report issues, everything from, this conference room is too hot or too cold, all the way out to there are some, broken, I guess the favorite example of one of our customers is actually, toilet situation. So, and the idea is that, how do you actually make that easy for the employees to report? And all you have to do is just pull up the app. And in some cases, you might even have a little QR code that is actually available at that location. So just scan that, and then you're done. So on the back end side, the facilities managers will know who reported those problems. And then, of course, the description, and then they can actually then create a ticket, or in some cases, that ticket could be generated automatically. And of course, after you're done fixing that toilet problem, then you can, of course, thank the user. And so that's the workflow that we can certainly support. So again, Justin, when you guys are ready, just let us know, and we'll work with you on that. So I think, do you have a
Consent question?
Oh, yeah.
So there was a question in regards to sort of twofold. One is you had mentioned marketing communications, potentially working with HR. Was it just your group with communications when the Moto app was chosen to be used and launched? But it sounds like you also are working with security. So what all departments had to come together to work together to get this app sort of chosen and deployed? And what did that go live from inception of the idea to execution and launch? What did that look like?
Oh, well, so
I know it's a big question.
that's a big question. I'll be as brief as possible with respect to time. So it was a very long process, but not because of anything that was going on with Modo. We typically have a very long gestation process for adoption of new technology. We are, as I mentioned, a very old-fashioned firm. Technology, especially anything mobile, is heavily scrutinized by our InfoSec team as well as our legal and compliance group. So there was a tremendous amount of spot checking that had to be done on their team. We had a lot of architecture review meetings, but I will say that Modo is a fantastic partner in being able to quickly turn around any information I asked for on their behalf, as well as jumping on phone calls with anyone. I mean, if anything, they were almost too eager. They're calling to check in and be like, hey, is there anything we can help with? I'm like, no, I've just been waiting for a week for the legal guy to sign off on the last thing we sent them, which that's kind of what I want in a vendor, just polite persistence. So that process took a long time. Once the hurdles had been cleared on our side and the attitudinal barriers were overcome, it was very quick to implement and get set up. We had a demo working app inside of a week. We started to load content up inside of it almost immediately. That was all me and Modo. And then we were able to get, we had 3 training sessions with our marketing team and our communications group, and they were able to almost immediately take the reins for updating content within the application. It was very impressive. The only thing end user facing that took a while to create was that indoor map piece, because we had to figure out a way to integrate the mapping solution with our infrastructure, which, just due to its age and due to the limitations that we set on outside resources accessing inside resources, took a lot of creative thinking from our team as well as Modo in order to solve that problem. But at the end of the day, we got a solution that works, and it works really well.
Awesome.
Hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thank you so much. And that concludes the webinar for today. As mentioned earlier, we have recorded the webinar. We will be sending it out as well as the slides along with it. Justin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much to Justin, and we look forward to continuing our partnership together. And thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar.
Great. Thank you, and have an enjoyable rest of your week as well as day. Bye-bye, everyone.